Welcome to Raptor's Recon. And today's topic, oh God, who am I kidding? What did I just watch? After 8 years, we've been given this. Season 8 is literally a dumpster fire, and this last episode just puts the exclamation point on it. That's why today's title is called Shame of Thrones. Shame. Shame. I'm going to give you basically my season 8 finale review, kind of touch on little other parts within the season, but focus basically on this last episode. Let's get started. So I'm going to start out with talking about some of the good things. Okay, the cinematography was good in this last episode. The music was outstanding in this episode. The acting was pretty strong across the board in this episode. And so you might be asking yourself, how in the world, if all those three things were pretty solid, am I saying this episode and this finale is a dumpster fire? Well, for the answer to that, I mean, it's pretty simple, and it'll be evident by the end of this video. But let's begin from the beginning. So, quick recap. I know a lot of people had some problems, as far as the attack on the Night King. I agree with that. That whole conflict seemed a little bit rushed. The darkness, it was hard to see. I understand the effect they were trying to go with that. That had, but I was able to let that slide. Also, the killing of the Night King himself. I could see that happening with Arya being the one that did it. But I do understand. I mean, it could have been done another way. It just seemed it just seems so rushed. I mean, they could have done anything, and they kind of made characters like Jon Snow and Daenerys and everything irrelevant in this whole thing for the most part. So, yeah. So I try to let go as much as I could with that episode. Then we transition to the next episode, and we see, and we have that, part of the, you got a death of a dragon, you've got Daenerys going nuts, when we get to this next episode, and just basically losing it. And there was no look, in real life, I get it. Tragedy, loss of a spouse, loss of a child, loss of something tragic can make somebody snap. So she did lose her second dragon, but time had kind of passed from that, and she's not like she hadn't lost one before, and her ultimate goal, Daenerys, was to get on the Iron Throne. But she's gonna just go nuts and destroy a keep, and then the explanation being, oh, she saw the Red Keep, and it was something that her ancestors had built when they came over and conquered, and it brought back all these memories. And why then? That doesn't even make any sense. Why would you destroy that and everybody around it? It made no sense. She just went pure cuckoo. And I could see if she made a beeline for the Red Keep just to destroy Cersei, but she didn't even do that. And I'm not even touching on the fact that, you had all the nonsense with Jaime going back to Cersei, not to kill her, but to freaking try profess his love again and save her. You had Arya not really going to kill Cersei, getting talked out by the Hound going after his brother, which was cool, but letting Cersei go by her. I mean, there's so many stupid plot holes. The only reason I'm bringing this up is this is the transition into this final episode. So at the end of a freaking however long it was slaughter of innocent people, which I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Not the way it happened. You had Daenerys just creating a holocaust. Okay, she literally slaughtered innocents, men, women, and child, civilians that had nothing to do with the war. And it wasn't like she was doing it in order to prosecute the war because the enemy was using them as shield, because Cersei was using them as shields, right? So I get that. But instead, when she had already won, now, and everything is in hand. They surrendered. She's gonna go crazy and just start torching everything with a smile of a cuckoo smile on her face. That is ridiculous, and it is not her character. Look, they were little crumbs that she was, brutal, and she was focused, and if you got in her way, she had no problem taking you out. There's a difference between that and being a freaking psychopath of genocidal magnitude. So I only talk about this because that is what led up to here. You had basically subverted expectations. I throw that out there because that's the new term, of poor writing and rushed stuff to, just to piss people off. Look, I'm all about the plot twist. That's okay. But to do it just to do it is just stupid. And I'm not saying that I didn't think Daenerys could be the Mad Queen, but the lead up to it made no sense. It was nonsensical. I could see. Here, I'll just throw this before I get into this final episode. I'll throw this one tidbit out there. How much better would it have been had her dragon? She had both dragons in this final fight, and she comes in. They got the scorpions, and then she comes in and starts rolling all this thing. But they set up a trap, and they have hidden scorpions waiting. So that way when they ring the bell, and this is something that Tyrion didn't know, but that Cersei and her hand basically plotted to have hidden scorpions, so that way when the surrender was rung and then the dragons maybe perched in a specific spot where she was going to surrender, that at that point a surprise attack happens. Boom, get Rhaegal basically taken down with a surprise attack. After they said they were going to surrender, they lied, killed him almost, and then hurt Drogon, but he's able to get away. Now the queen is pissed, or excuse me, Daenerys is pissed, and she goes nutso and freaking fries everything, because now she tried to play nice and fair and everything else, but Cersei got one last final attempt to try and take her out, comes close to doing it after pledging a surrender, and then this is what happens, and she goes and torches the whole city and does everything that she did. That would make more sense. It'd be more palatable, more plausible. You can see it, and then you know what? If that had an effect where it pushed her over the edge, you can feel that, and you can see it. And they should, they could have had her, the rage in her eyes, crying, seeing maybe with tears in her eyes, seeing another dragon die, this, that, and the other, and not wanting to, but feeling like she has no other choice, and boom, goes for it. Anyway, I throw that out. So let's talk about the finale now, because it's post the apocalyptic Armageddon Holocaust that Dany rained down on not only the military targets. The military targets are fine, but also the innocent women and children. Oh, so let's go. So in this post-apocalyptic aftermath here of epic proportion, with ash everywhere and basically falling like snow, everything burnt, dead folks everywhere, we see Jon, we see Tyrion, and at that point Tyrion asks to go off on his own through the city, the hand of Daenerys, who just slaughtered all these people. and Jon protests and offers to give him some soldiers, and they let him go anyway. So right there, you're like, okay, I know you guys are shell shocked, but having him by himself walking through the city after this happened, if anybody recognized him and was alive and realized that he was partly responsible for this, I think they probably would have taken him out. I mean, he was hated for even when he was Cersei's hand. So that just didn't make any sense. But we follow Tyrion on. He goes obviously to go find Cersei and Jaime, and he knows where they were going, so he heads that way, and he starts going down, and he finds, lo and behold, that the rocks have slidden, in because basically Dany basically torched the whole place and blew it up. I mean, the visuals were striking, right? However, if you look, I mean, it seems like throughout this, the Red Keep, there was destruction, but it seemed like a little bit better shape than we thought, at least than I thought. So we follow him in there. He finds a little kind of crack in the top where he can fit through, presumably because he's smaller. So he gets through, and when he gets to the room where Cersei and Jaime are, it's not caved in. Like, I mean, there is cave in, yes, but from the visuals of the previous episode where they died in each other's arms, it looked like the whole friggin' thing was falling down. But yet he comes in and there's open space around this pile of rubble with no damage, and there's ceiling up there. What the hell? Do you mean to tell me that Jaime could not realize and look up and see, or Cersei for that matter, and see the crumbling starting to happen and actually just scooch over 10 feet to not die? Are you kidding me? And by the way, he also, when he finds them, he sees the hand, the golden hand, okay, great. And they are not mangled or destroyed or mauled in any way. They look happy as clams, just sitting down there in each other's arms. No bruises, some minor cuts and a little bit things in here and there. Dead. La-da-dee-da. What kind of BS is this? I mean, that pissed me off. I'm like, are you kidding me? It looks like they could have sidestepped that freaking landslide, with any effort and tried to get back up the stairs that Tyrion just got in. If there was a hole, they might have been able to make that bigger with a little bit of effort and not died. Gosh, damn it. It just is so stupid. For that's my first shame on it.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Now we fade to Jon, and he still has that same look on his face that he's had the last couple episodes. He's got that pouty look, looking like a beat down puppy, just walking around helpless, completely 180 from what his character has been this entire freaking show. But in the last season, he has become basically damn near useless. I mean, for plot reasons and payoff, and just in general. So here we go. So he's walking down the street with some peeps, and who does he come up? He sees Grey Worm, right? And Grey Worm, who has gone completely psycho, just as bad as Khaleesi has, and he's getting ready to execute people who have surrendered. So, obviously, Jon is like, hey. And so then they get into a little bit of conflict. And it's, now, at this point, right, I'm like, okay, good. Okay, that makes sense. Jon wouldn't put up with that shiza. And Grey Worm is kind of like in full-on murder mode after seeing his the love of his life die and being ordered, I guess, by Dany to do this, right? So, there's that tense moment. So then you got a couple of the Unsullied dropping their spears. There's a little bit of like tension in the air. You know, I almost would. I mean, at that point, you know, I would have liked to actually see those two guys fight. I would have liked to see Jon stand up and say, "This shiz ain't happening, and you better cut it out." Now he did in a way, and then said he needs to speak to his queen. Okay, he needs to speak to Dany to figure this out. But he doesn't say, "Look, hold off on these executions. Let me confirm this with Dany first. Let me at least talk it over." No, after all of that, after the standoff with each other, blades drawn on either side, and it looks like they're getting ready to throw down, which I would have loved to see. And what happens? Jon just walks off. And what does Grey Worm do? He just starts killing the prisoners right there. Boom. 1, 2, 3. I mean, just imagine how those prisoners would have felt. They had a little ounce of hope. Oh, yes, Jon is is going to not let these guys kill us after we damn surrendered. And nope. He just lets them get killed. So, I mean, that just doesn't seem like he would let it go completely. Like, I mean, I think he would have had enough wherewithal to be like, dude, just hold on. All right? Let me get this straight. Let me straighten this out. If she says this is what it is, then you can go ahead and do that. But for now, just put them in prison. They've surrendered. Do the honorable thing. Boom. But no. So then we have that, which, god dang it, it just doesn't make any sense for that guy's character. And he just was a beat puppy. He just was like willing. I mean, he did a little bit to figure out what was going on, but he just he was ineffectual. He didn't really do anything. He like started to do something and then he wouldn't. So he walks on through the carnage. These people get killed. Hooray, Jon. You suck, bro.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
So the next thing that we get to see now is a pretty cool visual. Some people may have problems with it. I didn't have problems with it. I thought it was actually kind of cool, where Daenerys is coming out to speak to the her armies. You got the Dothraki, you have the Unsullied and whatnot. And so as she's walking up, you see Drogon land and spread his wings, and it looks like she has wings. All right. As she's coming out of here, though, I mean, I literally got visions, like I imagine, like, holy crap, they should be playing the Imperial March here. I mean, dun 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 dun. Like she should be walking out there with that freaking playing in the background, and she's getting ready to give a speech. Okay, so they make it. She walks out there. The visuals remind me of like a speech that General Hux gave. I mean, it just they're doing their best because to portray her in this scenario as the ultimate combination of every bad tyrant out there. She's like the veritable Serpentor of Game of Thrones, where they've put pieces of every awful person and put it into her, and they've come up with the ultimate evil. She's Stalin, Hitler, Lenin, Marx, friggin' all these friggin' people merged into one, like Voltron, to be the freaking ultimate evil of the universe. So she comes out here and gives her Hitler speech, basically saying how, hey, thanks Unsullied, for what you did. Thank you, Dothraki. She speaks in Dothraki, talks to the Dothraki, and then you look out there, and then the one thing that pisses me off too is just like you look out there, and she's got so many people in her army. And then you draw back to what I was talking about earlier with the fight against, the Night King and all of that. And it looked like they were lost. But when you come back here, it's like, whoa, she must have freaking got her one up freaking mushroom or freaking did some respawn action on these folks because damn, they're all back and they're all out there. La 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 la. Hey, it's all good. We're all good in the hood here. We got some cool Dothraki powers where us and our horses came back. No problem. It didn't matter that there were like thousands upon thousands of freaking a veritable tide of undead coming and slicing and gnawing and biting and stabbing and ripping and just as a freaking like a damn freaking tsunami of undead that came to kill them. And she still has this much of a force? Why the hell are they worried about fighting King's Landing at this point then? I mean, there was always so much concern. Oh, remember if you think back, we need rest. We need to rest the troops. We need to rest the dragons, which I actually agreed with that from a military standpoint. Like, hey, you just had a really bad battle. At least take some time to freaking reconstitute yourself and get some information, some intel on what's going on down south by King's Landing. So I could have bought that. But you come here and then all these guys are back. What the frick? Does that even make any goddamn sense? No. But I digress, alright? That's just one of the things that pissed me off too, because it's like, seriously? So she goes into this big speech about how, we're going to do this and we're going to we've liberated King's Landing. Meanwhile, she basically torched it and murdered all the kids and parents and everybody else. So her version of liberation is absolute destruction and Holocaust. Hooray! So she's saying all this stuff. She's thanking them for keeping their promise and taking these people out. And, she's giving this big old speech and, saying, hey, we're going to press on. We're going to, do this for the world, whatever. It just was the worst, man. And she does it with a smile on her face, and that gleam in her eye. And then what happens? Tyrion comes walking in. Now, Jon Snow is there, or excuse me, Jon is there, and he's watching off to the side while she's giving this. And then Tyrion just all of a sudden comes walking up. Now, this is the queen, right? All right, Queen Targaryen, Queen Badass, right? Who just freaking nuked the entire of King's Landing, and her guards are like off to the side, not even by her side, like it makes it like Tyrion could have freaking shanked her right there if he really wanted to. I mean, think about it. It was just like it just didn't make any sense. Anyway, so he comes up and he's not pleased, obviously, with what happened. And he had told her when you heard the bells that is the signal of surrender. Please let them surrender. That is the sign. And she basically ignored all that and went basically ape shies on everything and just destroyed everybody. So he comes in there and goes ahead and he rips the hand pin off of his lapel, throws it on the ground. He's obviously pissed. She calls him a traitor, and says, "I know you've basically freed, Jamie," and he's like, "Yeah, duh, I did, but you also slaughtered women and children." And she's like, "Biatch, I don't care. Take him away. Makes sense. He's gonna get thrown in jail." But I don't know. I would have thought at that point, with the freaking rage that she was doing and whatnot, that she would have been like, "All right, Drogon's right back there. Dracarys, biatch, you're done." I mean, what was the holdup? It's like he had the plot armor on. Plot armor, plot armor. So he had the plot armor, and he's good to go. He gets thrown in jail. Jon is looking at this girl. He's like, what the frick? And what am I going to do? She done gone crazy. He's like, man, you know, I didn't think Dany was on that beautiful crazy scale like they talk about. And he's like, what happened? What happened to her? But he's in shell shock. He doesn't know what to do. He still loves her, yada yada. But, oh God. Anyway, so she gives that Rig speech. Tyrion quits, gets thrown in jail, and now that's where this portion ends up. And it infuriates me that it's just so stupid. I mean, Tyrion should have been killed at that point. At that point. He had betrayed her or failed her so many times. She'd given him so many chances, and she obviously displayed that she was off the deep end. At this point, look, Tyrion is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite character, except for the way he acted in this last season. Literally, this last season has been nuts for him. He's acted like a moron when he's supposed to be one of the smartest guys. But he should have been killed at this point. That was it. But he gets thrown in jail for plot reasons. So we'll continue in a minute, but ridiculous.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
And now, beyond all measure of belief, Jon is allowed to go speak to Tyrion when he's in prison for being a traitor, who has traitorous thoughts, who betrayed Dany, or betrayed the knowledge of Jon's heritage, betrayed his best friend Varys. I mean, there's so much betrayal that he did in this last couple episodes. I'm not saying whether it was right or wrong. I'm just saying the things he was doing. Jon is allowed to visit and talk with this guy who is on death row. He knows he's going to die, so he's going to try and do something to try and prevent that. Come on. And she allows that. There's no guards that she's like, nope, you're not allowing anybody in. Nobody. He's all good. He can go. It's all good. Go in there, and what do they talk about? Obviously, the elephant in the room, which is Dany's loco. And talking about, they try to do some callbacks. There's some callbacks to previous episodes talking about duty and love and all that stuff. When Jon was at the Night's Watch and all of that. So it was a callback to that. I get that. So that's a good tie-in. But in summary, basically Tyrion is saying, dude, you got to kill this girl. You got to kill her. And he's like, I love her. I love her. She's my queen. But then that's the other thing. He always says that. God dang it. Like 80% of his dialogue is freaking, she's my queen. She's my queen. Oh, I mean, it's like if I heard that one more friggin' time, I wanted to freaking throw a shoe at the damn screen. It was so stupid. So, anyway, he looks like he's still questioning. Now, there's two parts of this. You can be pissed off that he was even able to talk to Tyrion. And then some people would say maybe be pissed off that Jon was still questioning what he needed to do. But I mean, I could understand that. I mean, it's like he's in love with this person, which they did a poor job of establishing. I think probably in the books it's going to be established a little more concrete than what it was. And he is trying to come to grips with the fact that she might have actually gone complete psycho killer, gone crazy. So, I mean, I understand the conflict. And he doesn't wanna do what he thinks he needs to do, and so I get that. So, but it just doesn't make sense. He was even able to talk to this. So, to Tyrion and this, even come up with the idea for this. So obviously Tyrion plants the idea to murder. I mean, we know this was good. We all knew this. You didn't even have to read the damn spoiler to figure out with the way this damn 8th season has been going that this is probably going to happen, right? So then we cut to a scene where Dany is in there with, in the throne room. She's taking a look at the Iron Throne, and she's chilling, and she's admiring it. This is the thing that she has wanted from day one, right? And she just looks at it in awe. She looks at it in awe. She doesn't sit on it. She doesn't jump on it. She doesn't run around it, excited, spin around, do a twirl, cartwheel into it. I mean, she doesn't do any of that stuff. She just goes there and looks at it, awestruck. Wow. And then, while she's doing this, Jon, who's able to get by Drogon, walks on in. The ash and snow looking is falling from the sky. I mean, it was beautiful visuals. Don't get me wrong. I just, it's the whole setup was so hokey and cheesy to me. I'm like, oh God, here we go. So he comes in there, and then they have a discussion, and he's like, she's telling him about how she wants to liberate the people of all the entire world, this, that, and the other, and that she's so happy, we're going to bring peace and break the wheel, and we're going to do away with tyrants, not realizing that she has basically become what she hated and wanted to break. And Jon is like, girl, but you killed children, man. You killed kids. And she's like, they were using them as pawns and blah, 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 blah. And I had to do what I got to do. So she came at it with the ends justify the means. Okay? And she has no malice. It doesn't even look like she was, like, there wasn't like you didn't see the psycho in it. You know what I mean? I could see if she kind of had like that psycho-ness in her face, some kind of quiver or something, about it. But no, she's like normal Dany, like, hey, smiling. She's got that beautiful face. She's got that regal look, powerful look, that we all came to love, throughout this series. And she's basically like, no, yeah, I had to do it. It had to be done. They were used as shields. I took it out. But he was like, they surrendered. Girl, don't you realize they surrendered? You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to go there. And she don't see it. And he knows it. And he's like, son of a bee. And then she talks about like the other people and wanting to liberate the world. And he's like, well, what about if those people disagree with your opinion of right or wrong? Like, because she's like, I'm on the moral high ground here. I'm doing all this stuff. And she's like, that ain't happening. It's my way or the highway, basically. But she did it in a, I guess crazy way. I mean, she didn't seem crazy, but what she was saying was what she believed. And Jon is like, son of a bee. I mean, you could see it in his face. He's like, I'm gonna have to do it. But did he really have to do it? I don't know. Some people say, you could say, oh, well, he should have just done killed her before, didn't even let her talk. Just walked in there, boom, killed her, be done with it. Or you could say, she's wanting him, she's like, join me, man. Like I said, she's like friggin' Darth Vader or the Emperor, man, but in a beautiful smile on her face and in a beautiful body. She's like, join me. Come to the dark side, Jon, and we can rule the galaxy as husband and wife. I mean, for God's sake, that's what it was like. I was just thinking back, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like freaking Star Wars again. Not that that's bad. I love Star Wars, but damn. And so she's reaching out. She's like, I love you, Jon. She opens herself to him. Even though she should probably be cautious. You would think she would be cautious because everybody has been saying up until now, watch out, Jon, she's a killer. Watch out, because Arya was there. She told him that earlier and right before that speech and everything else. But, whatever. So everybody's been planting the seed that, hey, man, you're going to be target number one because you have more claim to the throne. but she has never taken any action against Jon. Not at all. And she shows that she loves him. So at that point, you could say, well, she's proved to be a psycho, and so he should have killed her. Or perhaps he could have waited and seen if he could kind of bring her back to the light. You know, maybe he could have brought her back. Maybe, yeah. Maybe my point is to be the balance and help moderate her rule, and we could rule together, and she and maybe us together would be, I mean, I guess that's kind of stupid, for a George R. Martin book, but I'm just saying maybe he could have at least observed a little bit and seen if she's gonna continue to in her ways and just be like, all right, look, I'm gonna have to do this. But I mean, whatever. I just thought it was super cheese. He goes, she's like, oh, I love you, come join me, I love you. And he's like, you're my queen. There goes that line again, my queen. Oh. And then he goes to kiss her. And then, of course, you hear the little shink of a shank. She gets stabbed in the gut. Blood comes from her mouth. She doesn't even say anything. She says nothing. She has 0 words. 0 words? 0 words. You've got all these other characters who get stabbed multiple times and can still look at the Jamie. He got stabbed straight through his side, straight through, and he was able to walk up steps, get all the way up, go all the way down, do all this, have all this dialogue, and she gets a shank to the gut, and she can't even say something to him. She can't even be like, but I loved you, blah, blah, blah. Or some bullshit. I don't know, man. But sorry, but it's like, God dang it. She didn't say 1 word. Like, damn, bro, you did this to me at 2 Brute? Come on, something. And so, nope. Blood from her mouth. Falls down. Blood from her, a little bit of her nose and whatnot. And she dies. And then Drogon senses a disturbance in the Force. And he comes up there, and he looks at her. He does it. Okay, now this part, I actually thought this was a good part in a way. Parts of it I didn't like, but parts of it I did. So he comes in there. He looks at Jon. He looks at her. He starts nudging her, kind of like a little puppy, nudging, doing something, and he's like nudging Dany's body, and then the rage. And then he takes his rage out on the Iron Throne, melts it, grabs her, and takes her off. Now, that visual I thought was cool. And in my mind, I'm like, huh. He goes and grabs her and takes her off. Maybe she could come back later, How many other people have been raised from the dead? Maybe that's possible. Maybe Drogon knows something that we don't. Or maybe he's just taking her for a snack later on. I don't know. But he grabs her, takes her, flies off. That visual is cool. He melted the Iron Throne, okay, to try and do away with that, and then fade to black. So, biggest hard hang up on this. Jon getting that seed planted by being able to talk to Tyrion, going through not really being so wishy-washy about it that, whether or not he should kill her or not, did he really love her or not? I know she's my aunt, whatever. She was honest with him and open, and she didn't seem cray, but she was displaying how ruthless she was. And he didn't even try. I mean, he didn't even try to do something to snap her out of it, like have a heart-to-heart talk. He just wasn't honest with her. It's like, God dang it, brother. Just sit her down. Just say, look, girl, what you did was wrong. I love you, girl, but that was wrong. You can't go around just killing women and children. That's not good. That's not a good word. That is everything that you hate. Can't you see that, girl? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, he could have done something. I just think it was so lame. And then, he goes to kiss her and stabs her. I mean, I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna stab her and you really loved her, man, you probably as well just killed yourself too and be done with it. But no. Fade to black. And then what ends up happening? Now he's in jail. Oh God. And here's it's so stupid.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
It is at this point that the sheer stupidity and ridiculousness of season 8 has just hit its culminating point, and I just felt like I got punched in the gut. I mean, it was a deep gut wrenching feeling that at this point it was like I that's all I can stands, and I can't stands no more. You know what I mean? At this point, it's just it was too much. I was like, "Are you kidding me? What in the world? What in the hell is going on here? It is so ridiculous." And I mean, that feeling, I had that feeling for like 2 days after this stupid watching this damn show. It's like unbelievable. So we're sitting there watching this, and I'm like, this can't, how can this get any worse? This is just so stupid. I mean, it is so ridiculous and so rushed. And what do we get? Oh, we fast forward. Jon's a prisoner, which, by the way, how did anybody know? How in the hell did anybody know that Jon did it? How did they know that Jon killed Dany? They didn't show that. They couldn't take it. They couldn't take 10 minutes to show him going up and confessing. Now, I could see him do that, saying, "Hey, guys, I did it." But in reality, Drogon carried her off. She was gone. It could have been like, "I don't know what happened." He could have been like, "Dude, she just done took off. I don't know. She says she's on a mission. She's got to do something. I don't know. I don't know." Freaking, but no. Nope. He must have confessed. I mean, that's the only thing. But so now, it's what are we going to do? We've got Jon, who's a traitor, and we've got Tyrion, who's a traitor. So it's a fast forward. We see Grey Worm, which who the hell gave him power? Like this, he was the commander of the military, but damn, what the hell's his beef? He comes out like he's dictating things, and then he doesn't kill Tyrion. Say what? So after Dany is killed, Jon is not killed, Tyrion's not killed. Grey Worm actually holds himself back from this after slaughtering innocents throughout the city, or people who had surrendered. You kidding me, right? I mean, was he scared? What was he scared of? I mean, nothing. So we get this council. We see all these people. Obviously Sansa, Arya's there, Sam's there. All these people. The Onion Knight. We got Davos. Everybody's there. We got a whole bunch of people. You got Booby Boy over there from the Eyrie. I mean, you got the cast of characters here. Okay, and they're all like in this little council. And in the place where they talk to Cersei and whatnot previously to try to convince her about the undead that were coming. And basically Tyrion is there as a prisoner, and they're trying to talk about what's going on, and then and the fate of basically the future of what the hell's going to go on now, right? So they have a couple corny things. Sam, suggests, so basically Tyrion gets the floor. So I don't know how a prisoner who helped convince Jon to kill the queen, who had betrayed them so many times, he gets plot armor, plot armor. I mean, it's so stupid. How the hell does he get this? The thing is that it pains me because that character is awesome for 90% or probably 80 to 90% of this show. That character was awesome. And the actor is awesome, believe me. But he's given a chance to give a speech? I mean, and Grey Worm didn't just freaking backhand his ass? Like, bam! Shut the frick up. You helped kill Khaleesi. You betrayed her. You ain't got no right to speak. Boom! Smack a fool. Give him a pimp and a bitch slap right there. Boom! Shut your ass up. And nope. He gets a chance to speak and talk about how they need to select a leader, and that leader needs to be, amazing and blah blah blah, and everything that we want and blah blah blah, and all this other stuff, and you're just like, dear God, okay, and they're just letting him talk, and so now it's like, well, who's it gonna be, and all this stuff, and so they're all discussing this. Sam brings up, he's like, oh, why don't we have everybody vote on a leader or something, and everybody have a say, and it's like you're kind of talking about democracy, and then you know they're all like, that's bullshit, that's so stupid, and it's the concept is stupid, blah blah blah. And so they yuck him off the stage, kind of thing, and then you've got I think is it Sansa's uncle or whatever from River Run or whatever comes up, and he's like, oh, I propose that I could be the leader, and he's always he's a comedic relief for that, and that was fine. I didn't have any problems with that. And then so you got all these people, Sansa obviously is chomping at the bit. You've got all these people there, and then they freaking then Tyrion's, and then Sam pipes back up and is like, yo, the most important thing are stories, and the only person here who knows all the stories of all the history is Bran. And Bran is sitting there, with his distant look, like he's freaking some kind of weird, in some weird freaking vegetative state, how he is all the time, and he's like, oh, looking around, and they're like, oh yeah, it's so important to know our history, and he knows all the history and all this stuff, and he's a three-eyed raven and all this shizzle, and here we go, and then eventually that's who they choose. Are you shitting me? Excuse my language, but are you kidding me? Bran, and they even call him Bran the Broken. The Broken. What the frick? I'd be like, you gonna give me that nickname? Damn, man. How about call me the Three-Eyed Raven or something? I don't know, something, man, something cool. You're gonna call me Bran the Broken. That's what I am. I'm the king. And they debate this back and forth. How he's got the most wisdom, yada yada. He's the most fine, I guess, yada yada. And they're like, well, will you be the king? Will you be our king? Oh, non-participant and distant one, will you be our king? And he's like, what do you think I came here for? Yada McYada. And at that point, I wanted to barf. I'm like, are you shitting me? And I said, okay, so let's take a just pause for a second, right? We're supposed to think and we're supposed to believe that Dany is the most evil, whatever, that she needed to be killed, and she is the villain. But you know what I believe? You know who the villain is? Is Bram. Bram's the goddamn villain. And I don't see many people talking about this, but he is the ultimate evil. You can say, oh, he's that godlike figure because he's all knowing, but free will, and no, 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 no. He took action when he needed to take action. He took action to go up to become the Three-Eyed Raven. He took action when he walked into Hodor and makes him hold the door and do all this stuff. He took specific actions and then allowed certain things to happen. Did he know? And he did this all so that he could become king eventually? That's what he said. I came here for this purpose. So if you look back and you wonder why the F this guy didn't do jack shiza the entire time, his inaction was his action. And he knew what was going on. He could have told Sansa, dude, don't say shit. I know you're going to say something. Don't do it because it's going to send Dany behind, it's going to send her over the edge. Because literally, it was, in order for her to go nuts the way she did, it was like a freaking series of chain reactions and actions that had to have been taken. It was like every single domino had to been lined up perfectly for that outcome to happen, right? And it happened. And Bram knew about it. And he knew about it and he allowed it to happen. And at no point did he intervene. And he could have intervened. Even in the whole freaking with the knights, with the Night King coming and putting himself as bait and all this other stuff, that was all to just orchestrate what happened. I mean, if you look at it in retrospect, you're like, mother fricker, man. This guy is the evil one. All right, this guy is the one that is the lowest of the low. He knew what was going to happen, could have prevented what was going to happen, and he didn't, so he could be king. Bullshit. And then it's like everything's back to normal. That's ridiculous. That's freaking garbage. I just want to freaking puke on that. It's like, you could say whatever. It's like freaking, are you kidding me? This freaking dude, and everybody's singing his praises like, oh, he's going to be the greatest king ever. Hey, whatever happened to when he was supposed to be the king of the north, right? Or the protector, right? He was supposed to take that mantle. If you think back and look back to that episode, he said, I can't do that. I'm beyond such things. I'm the three-eyed raven. What was that? That was all BS? That was all garbage? It was. It was all garbage because he knew he wanted to be king. That's evil. That's some bullshit evil. That is the evil in this thing. And whether you feel, oh, sorry, pobrecito, oh, so sorry you got pushed out the window and here you are, the king. You can feel sorry for him, but I think that's wrong, dude. There's a level of wrong and malevolence involved with somebody who has that kind of power and orchestrating things so that they're in charge. That's messed up, bro. So this ding dong gets to be freaking king after he orchestrates that throughout all this time and lets everything happen just so that way he can become the king. And then it's like, all right, yay, he's our king, the broken, yay, what a cool nickname, yay, what are we gonna do with Jon? Kill him? No, we can't kill him. Oh, Grey Worms, we gotta kill him. Oh no, if you fight, and then Sansa's like, if you do that, we got a bunch of Northmen gonna fight you, and he's like, well, I'm gonna fight you back, and I don't care, we got Unsullied and Dothraki, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And then to bring that up, damn, nobody tried to kill Jon while he was in prison. Nobody tried to kill him in the meantime, during this fast forward. Frickin' A, man, they were all in the city. Not one of them, after he killed their freaking Khaleesi, the one who freaking brought them over the water, and they've conquered everything, and blah blah blah. Oh my god, so stupid. So many plot holes and dumbness. It's just so dumb. So we get this, then then it's like things are getting back to normal. Like everything's back to normal, man. Everything is cool. Everything is chill. It's all good. Everything, it's all good in the hood. Then, freaking Tyrion is the hand again. Oh, I don't want to be the hand. No, you are the hand. Blah, blah, blah. Now he's back to being the hand. And he's back to doing that shiz. And it's business as usual. Freaking, oh my god. It's just so stupid. Then you get, oh my, and then they go back. I mean, there's a scene where Jaime's information is being put into the Knight's book, and gosh dang it, and it just, and that's fine. I didn't really have any problems with that. Um, she probably still loved him in a way and whatnot. To put his info in there even after he basically hit it and quit it and left and went back to Cersei. But I mean, so you had that. Then you had they had this little, meeting, in that room where the Hand and his people are. And you got Bronn in there, and he's in there, and he's the master of coin or whatever. And you got all these other people, and it's just like, oh god, it's back to normal. Everything's back. The wheel was not broken, even though they're like, there was a comment made when Bram was, Sansa brings it up. She's like, oh, he can't have kids, and they're like, oh, that's great. The wheel's broken. The wheel's not broken. It's just how it's being selected now, man. It's just, so what? And I mean, that's kind of a diss too that she brings it up, but she brings it up. He's like, his junk don't work. Hey, embarrassing. That's real nice. But anyway, so it's back to normal. he pops his head in there. Bram pops his head in there, and he's like, "Hey, how's everything going? Oh, I think I might go look for the dragon and see where he's at." And you think, "Oh shit, he's gonna do that right now. He's gonna friggin' warg or something." And then he just kind of goes off. Podrick is relegated to being his freaking wheelchair pusher. There's no throne. He's got his wheelchair, so he's got a mobile throne. So that's all good, I guess. He takes his throne with him, and there we go. Everything's like that. Jon is basically they agreed to send him to the freaking Night's Watch, even though there isn't a Night's Watch. So he basically gets there, sees Tormund, and it's like, hey guys, deuces, I'm out. Peace out, biatches, I'm out. I'm going up north. I'm going to the cold. So I guess what? Maybe he's the king, north of the wall now, I guess, ish. And then, but I pause and I go, holy crap. Jon is the mother freaking king. He is the true heir. And nobody brings this up in that damn meeting. Everything goes and just keeps going and going. Nobody brings it up. Yeah, he killed her. Yes, I get that. So King Slayer, Queen Slayer, whatever. But he's the king. What did you freaking say? When you are the damn one that should have been the king. The freaking. And where did that plot line go? Absolutely nowhere. Did he fight the Night King? No. Did he kill him? No. He's supposed to be like Azor, whatever. And he's freaking high, and he freaking doesn't do jack shiza in that battle. He doesn't do anything except for he kills Dany. What the frick? And then he goes up north of the wall. He goes and he sees Ghost, and he's like, finally pets him. They actually spring some money for CGI so he can pet him, and they go north, and they see signs of spring up there. I think it would have been cool if they actually saw signs of like White Walker crap again. Like if they walked up there, you see like a circle or something, and you're like, oh shoot, so the cycle does go back again, and it continues on. At least but no, it's spring up there. You see grass pushing through, and they go north, and he's with all the wild north people, and then Arya, who, yes, she did bring up her curiosity about exploration and stuff before, and she was in the west. She wants to go west. Go west, young woman, and she's gonna take a boat. Apparently there was already a boat waiting for her. She's gonna take a boat and a crew, and she's gonna go explore for purely spin-off reasons. There's no other freaking reason, really. I mean, she's going for a spin-off. I'm going to leave this port to insert spin-off here for Game of Thrones. And so that's where she went. Sansa is now the Queen of the North, and she dedicated. That was another point. She freaking in the middle of all this, and everybody's pledging their fealty to Bram. She's like, sorry, biatches, I want the North to be independent, and he's cool with that. He's like, I'm down. You're my sis, so yeah, sure. You can be independent. Nobody else says, hey, can I be independent either? Nope, it's just her. And so she's independent. So he gives away basically, part of the kingdom. Hey, whatever. And so she's up north doing that. And that's pretty much where the show basically ends. So the Starks, they're all alive. Everything ends like that. Jon goes north of the wall for whatever reason. There's the Night Watch is there, but for whatever reason, because there's no more Night King or any of that stuff. And Bram the Broken is the king of the goddamn realm. What the hell? And that's where we are left off. Are you shitting me? Are you kidding me? And that's where it is. I mean, and there you try to say, well, there was like a little, Jon says goodbye. Sansa tries to apologize for what she did, and he does. At least he didn't freaking, acknowledge the apology. He just was like, I love you guys, bye, whatever. Because god dang it, she wrecked a lot of stuff. But like I said, it was ultimately, I think, Bram, man. He knew what was going on, and he could have interviewed at any point, but he knew because he wanted to be king. That's bullshit. But anyway, so that's my summary basically of what happened. And I just think, damn, it just is amazing to me. This freaking was like a gut punch. Oh gosh.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
my ultimate frustration with this season 8 is that I felt it was rushed. That, I mean, you could tell it was rushed. I mean, you got basically that whole issue with Starbucks Gate. There was Starbucks coffee in there. There was another picture where there was wires hanging out, from one of the guys on the ground. You've got the two water bottles that you could see, in that last scene where everybody's trying to pick who's the next king, and you're like, dude, seriously? I mean, those are freaking rookie mistakes. Those are the mistakes that should not be there in the last episode or in any of the episodes of the last season for this. And I'm sorry. So you could say, hey, all right, so what's the deal? What's the big deal? But 8 years, man. 8 years. And D&D could have done better. And for the fans, they should have done better. Everything that they knew where they needed to go, they just needed to take the time to do it, but they didn't want to. HBO offered them 10 seasons, 10 episodes each. Why not? Because this is like a cash cow. This has been, if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say, look, in totality, this was one of the best shows I have seen, period. I've read all the books. I've read the spin-off books. I've read everything up until what's current, and I've watched this show. It is an event thing where you sit down, you're going to watch it because it was that good. And you can tell, I mean, when it was keeping up with the books, it was amazing. D&D did a good job of translating George R. R. Martin's written words into what's going on. Now, there was divergence. They did diverge away from some of the things, and they changed the plot around, okay? Mama Stark didn't come back as Lady Stoneheart and all this other stuff. Brienne didn't get her face bitten off, and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that did not happen, that happened in the book that did not happen in the show. And that's okay. That is fine, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But there was a degradation of the quality once D&D had to go off on their own and start weaving these plots. And you can start see that happening right around season 6, where you can start to see it there, and then it just went off the deep end further in season 7, and then this was like, pff. Now, personally, I mean, because D&D basically got hired to do the next trilogy of Star Wars, right? That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Egotastic for those guys to get hired on to do that. Amazing. And what an opportunity, right, for them. I think they rushed this because they just wanted to move on. I mean, because they're supposed to be putting out a Star Wars movie freaking, 2021 or something like that, when the next one is coming out. I can't remember if it's 2020, 2021, but that's supposed to be theirs. So they're just wanting, it just seemed like they just wanted it. So they told HBO, hey, we can do this in this many episodes. We don't need all 10. We'll just make them extra big episodes. They'll be extra long, and everything will be fine. Well, everything was not fine. It just wasn't. There was so many plot armor moments where you're like, how did that person survive? Or regen moments and things that just didn't make sense. And the fall of Dany and her getting to where she was, it was too abrupt to really have that emotion where you can say, wow, man, I understand where she's coming from, and you can kind of sympathize with that, but still say, dang, that's crazy, but you could understand the cray. It just happened. It was just, everything was rushed. Characters who had an arc went right back to the beginning. It's almost like everybody went back to what they did before. Like, it was like the circle went, they did all this character growth and development, and then they frickin' just said and frickin' just went right back to the way they were. That happened pretty much across the board. Prophecies that were in the story, that were in the show, never really met Jack Shiza. I mean, it really didn't mean crap, man. Half these things, and you're just like, okay, great. And then just the way it ended up, it was like, and then everybody's walking around like it seems like everybody's like, yeah, yeah, business as usual. After the goddamn all of that, it's business as usual. Holy crap! I don't know, dude. It was this was disgusting, and we folks who are watching this show with it, we looked at each other like, what in the hell did we just watch? And did we just mother flippin' waste 8 years of our life for this? For this freaking conclusion that doesn't even make sense? How it got there? I'm not saying they didn't need to go to where it went, but how it got there made no goddamn sense. It was rushed. There was no fan service. There was no deference. And you could say, look, oh well, whatever, whatever. How are you to say? Look, who are we to say? We're the people who freaking watched this junk for 8 years, who support it, buys, paraphernalia, buy the books, do all this stuff. You buy the DVDs and all this crap. We deserve better. I mean, we deserve better. That's my opinion. I'd like to hear. Shout out what you think. What's your opinion on it? Did you watch it? I mean, for me, this was like one of the worst endings I've ever seen. And they could have done better. I just think they didn't have the time. They didn't want to be bothered. They wanted to move on to their next thing, which their next gig is Star Wars. That's what I believe. I think they've rushed it, and it shows in the production quality too, with all the errors and stuff here. Because those errors should not have been there. You've got people who could find those things and edit that crap out. They didn't even bother. They didn't even bother. And you can see it on the faces of the actors. Some of them more vocal than others, but best season ever. And this movie, and then you get one. He's like, I was disappointing. There is truth in all that stuff because it sucked. It sucked so bad. That's my opinion. So I've been going on for a while, but this one, I mean, it gave me a freaking gut punch for the freaking 2 days. For 2 days afterwards, I'm like, I cannot believe what I just watched. I cannot believe that 8 years of my life has been spent to end this stupid show like this. And I'm not saying, like I said, I don't care where it went. It was how it got there. It just was. It was so abrupt, rushed, and unprofessional. And that's not to say that there weren't good visuals in there, that there weren't good music, and that the actors weren't doing what they were supposed to do. They were doing bang up jobs. I boil it all down to the writing, to D&D. It's all on their shoulders. So, anyway, love to hear what you have to say. Freaking Ray John, man, this one really pisses me off. I don't know if it pisses you guys off, but you let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. All right. Peace out.